Welcome to Law Talk Today, a series devoted to bringing you informative and educational programs focused on issues of law, government, and community.
Good evening and welcome to Law Talk Today. My name is Mark Gruber. I'm your host. On this show each week we talk about different areas of the law and we speak with people in the know. We have guests such as judges, police officers demonstrating breathalyzer machines, battered women, different topics every day. You can go to our website on lawtalktoday.tv and actually see all the shows. And if anybody's got any interest in a show that they'd like to see, you can email us here at info@lawtalktoday.tv. On tonight's show, we have I would consider a very special guest. This person is involved in what is called parent coordination. It is a new phenomenon here in New Jersey, relatively new, and it deals with people who have children and they're in conflict with how to raise them. And I don't want to say much more about it because I want to introduce our guest and let her talk about it. Our guest is Ann Scucci Ordway. Ann, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark.
Ann, I've known you for a lot of years because you were a divorce litigator, and I used to litigate a lot of cases against you.
Yes,
right?
That's true.
And then something happened to you, and you've branched into this area. In fact, you went out and you have a Juris Doctorate degree, and then you got a master's, right, in counseling psychology, and an educational specialist degree, right? And what is a parent coordinator?
A parenting coordinator is essentially a neutral third person who works in the trenches with high conflict parents, and our job is to do a variety of things. For one, we're supposed to help educate the parents so that they understand the background when making decisions on certain issues pertaining to their children. We're supposed to engage in a quasi-mediator role, even though we're not mediators and the process is not confidential, to try to teach the parties to communicate and work out their own issues. And when they can't do that, our job is to recommend a resolution based upon the homework that we've done and the background checks and the interviews and the review of evidence, and we put forth a recommendation. And if the parties don't agree with us, they have the option of going to court and seeking their own results, but our recommendation becomes part of the court record and is available to the judge for consideration.
All right, now you've just defined what your role is. Where did this whole concept of parent coordination come from?
I would say that the initiation of parenting coordination came from California. A woman named Joan Kelly was very instrumental in its development and was doing it in some form or fashion for many years, long before it was recognized throughout the rest of the United States. It's very popular in the Midwest and in the Southwest for quite a long time under different names, different titles, but in New Jersey it's really only been coming into play for the last few years.
And what are the requirements? Can anybody be a parent coordinator?
No. Under the pilot project in New Jersey, which involves several counties, only a mental health professional of different disciplines can be a parenting coordinator. However, lawyers in many states and in New Jersey outside of the pilot project can be parenting coordinators.
All right, a little bit more about the pilot project. That's something that the court system in New Jersey has created?
That's correct with the AOC, and there's actually a group, a parenting coordination roundtable that meets usually one Sunday a month that also works with different rules and guidelines and structure and procedure to help parenting coordination be an effective project in New Jersey.
How new is it here in New Jersey?
I'm going to say it probably started to emerge on some level in the last maybe 5 to 7 years, and it's gradually become a stronger, more recognized system.
Now, there's the program is in, I know, Morris County, right? Sussex County, both of those counties.
Yes.
And
as combined vicinages.
Right, and Is there a rule changes that's going to make it uniform throughout the state, or don't we know?
We don't know yet. There certainly are proposed rules on parenting coordination, and I don't know how quickly a rule will be implemented, but I anticipate there eventually will be one.
Okay, and what training did you take to be a parent coordinator?
I have a variety of training. For one, I believe that my background as an attorney, and specifically a family law litigator, absolutely makes me familiar with the court system and the way judges decide disputes. I have information about the law, certainly, the way the dynamics of high conflict families work in the court system. I know lots of attorneys, which I think helps me effectively communicate with the attorneys and with the judges. I am a mediator. I've been trained through both the ICL program and also advanced training through a program in Montclair. I've attended numerous parenting coordination training programs through the Association of Family and Conciliation Courts. And in addition, I went back to school and got my master's in EDS and counseling psychology. So I have familiarity with developmental issues in children and life stages and other nuances of mental health, such as abnormal psychology and psychopathology.
Wow, that's impressive. Now,
Well, thank you.
How do you get appointed? How do you get involved in these cases to begin with?
There are a few ways. For one, if you are part of the pilot project in a pilot county, you can be appointed off of a list of approved parenting coordinators by the judge. If you are not in a pilot county, the list isn't required, and anyone can be appointed who has the credentials or the qualifications. Also, you can be appointed through a consent order that is crafted between the parties and their counsel, where they name you as the individual parenting coordinator.
Now, before we go into the nuts and bolts of what you do, how did you, or why did you make this transition from the tough litigator that I have known and the soft-spoken parent coordinator that you've become?
Well, probably a long story short. I think you probably know, a lot of people know, that I was a child myself in the midst of a high conflict divorce many, many years ago. And that was a driving force for me to become a family law attorney. I was very focused on the needs of children, and I always felt that somebody needed to actually consider the voices of the children and the needs of the children in the context of litigation. And I tried to do that for a long time. But the more entrenched I became in the process, the more I began to realize that, at least for me, as important as it is to be an attorney and a litigator and advising your individual client, in some ways I felt that I was making the situation worse because I was perpetuating a battle. And I was fighting on behalf of a person who was fighting. And I was promoting a system where people were going before a stranger in a black robe to make decisions about their children and their lives and their assets and what happens in the future. And I said to myself, there's got to be a better way. And I've been a child advocate for many years. I've done a lot of work as a law guardian and a guardian ad litem. And I woke up one day and I said, you know, I need to find a way to do this where I can actually help the children that are stuck in these situations. So I spoke to my husband. He said, go for it. And I enrolled in a program at Seton Hall University, and I obtained my master's in EDS and counseling psychology, did the other training, and started a company that's called Little Voices.
I was going to say that. You have an email that I guess if somebody wanted to call you and ask you about parent coordinators, they could do that, and your email has the Little Voices in it. Want to say what it is?
It's Little Voices Inc. at yahoo.com. So it's one word, Little Voices Inc. at yahoo.com.
Now, let's back up a little bit and just focus on the children. All right? How affected are children going through divorces?
Children are very affected, and there's a lot of research from the psychological mental health field